Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Rose here. I thought I would just make a quick uh, screen video here of the writing assignment and also a sample, and just see if I can help you with the writing that you have due for Wednesday. But first of all, welcome to class. Thanks for your strong starts getting through the opening readings and activities, and it's been uh, good to get a chance to talk with some of you, and I look forward to meeting the rest of you soon this week, or at least on Friday when we have our writing group meetings. So thank you. And let me just talk about the summary assignment here a little bit. If you see here on the screen, you've got the details up here that just let you know that there is a strict word count, as you see there in the length. That needs to be between 250 and 300 words. And that should only count your title and the content of your paragraph, not a works cited or the header. So look specifically at that. And also notice above that this is due at 1 p.m. tomorrow, so that we can do the peer review and a few other activities between 1 and 4:30. And then lastly, MLA format. You have the Purdue Online Writing Lab. You have the link on the syllabus, and check that out. But some of the fundamentals here are 12-point Times New Roman font, double spaced, 1-inch margins, and what the rest of the document should look like. They have great samples online, and I'll say a few words about that when we look at a sample below. So the goal of the first assignment is to practice concisely and clearly summarizing an argumentative essay. And the one that we're using is the one you read for today, Tuesday, the Custom Rumtella article about blended online and traditional classroom learning. Kind of a timely topic, I thought, that we might enjoy thinking about a little bit. One well-formed paragraph. So use the skills from Monday's effective paragraph activity and the skills from today's summary activity, and try to deploy those in your writing to put forth a solid summary. As you move down the prompt, it does ask for one quotation and one quotation only. So please read the prompt closely and follow the prompt. We want most of this to be in your own words, because you're trying to shorten the article so much. It's hundreds of words longer than what you're going to have with a maximum of 300 words. So you really need to put her argument and her evidence and what she's talking about into your own words, so you can shorten it and keep it clear for your readers. But do have one quotation. And include the in-text citation. And we'll look at that, and you can get more information on that in the summary. Okay, so the summarizing, we kind of break it down into three goals. Make sure that you understand the author's argument. It is an opinion essay, so she has an argument. So make sure you put that in your own words, but explain that early in your paragraph. This is what the essay is about, the topic, but this is also her claim or her argument, her main point that she's making about the topic. Then the rest of the body of your paragraph is really about deciding what's the most important things to include from her article, because you can't talk about everything, obviously. A summary, a lot of the work here is picking out the most important things. So part of the grade will be that you really engage with the essay and pull out the most important aspects of it, and then that you explain them concisely and clearly. So that'll be the bulk of your paragraph. And then at the end, probably something we're going to talk a lot about that might be a little strange right now, is the idea of stakes. Every time we write, it matters. There's some reason. There's something we're trying to say. So when you're summarizing, you're just trying to get the information from the essay to your audience, and you're trying to be sort of a mediator between those two places. You don't want to have opinion or analysis in this writing. You're really just telling your audience what Custom Rumtella said in her essay. So one way to think about that is imagine your audience is interested in what this article had to say but hasn't read it. And it's your job to give it to them in this shorter space. But at the very end, think about stakes. What is it that the author of the original essay suggests matters about their argument? Why is it that they're writing this essay? What do they say about the implications of their argument? What matters about the essay? Try to put that into your own words at the end, in a last sentence, and that way your readers will say, "Oh, okay, that's the context of this. That's what matters, the stakes." So those are our three goals, and just try to think about how to best get those into your paragraph. So there's a little extra note here on summary. I'll let you read that. So hopefully that helps clarify what seems important to me about the prompt. And do remember to follow the specifics and read closely and make sure you're hitting all of the requirements. Okay, so just for another couple minutes, let me go down to a sample. This is the sample from your first activity where you looked at it in terms of a paragraph. So I'll just say a few words today to complement your activity on summary about this paragraph. First of all, you're looking at what looks to me to be correct MLA format. You have your name up here, the date, our class, and then a description of the assignment. So summary paper, Qasem Ramtala would be perfect to have up here. Then you want to have your own title. So this is not just the title of the original article, this is the title of your summary. So, not necessarily when you get into argument papers, you can do a lot more with titles to be interesting. When you're doing a summary, it's not all that exciting, I understand, but it's an important skill. The more that you can summarize other people's ideas clearly and concisely, the better you can then build your own arguments, which is why we're starting with this relatively straightforward summary assignment, is because it's really a foundation block for writing your own arguments later. Okay, then remember our three goals for the paragraph, for our own paragraphs, as well as our goals for the summary. You want to have a clear topic sentence. And if you notice what they do here is they really use two sentences, but they do a lot with the two sentences, and I think it's a good start. We get the title of the article. If it's really long, it's not all that necessary. It's much more important to know who the author is and what their qualifications are. For instance, here, Andrew Del Banco is a director of a program at Columbia University. So that matters, That's one of the top universities in the country. And being a director of the program, you want to include that information so your readers know, why should I listen to this original author? And our author for our story is at Princeton. So, another one where it's important to point out who they are and what they do. So if you need to Google her a little bit, you can find out a little more. But I think that they also provide a short summary in our reading. Then they, after providing that important context information, they kind of do the topic and the details of the argument here. It's about, the argument is that we need liberal arts education, and really the main reasons put forth are these three: for the economy, for democracy, and for individual citizenship. And so that's a great first two sentences. And that's something that's really strong about this paragraph, is we get a lot of the information we need as readers right up front. So we know what's coming. This is going to be a summary. We know who Andrew Del Banco is, and we know his argument. Plus, we've got this detail, this level of specificity with economy, democracy, citizenship that we can then look for. That kind of sets up a structure for the paragraph. To point out a weaker spot in the paragraph, I think the second one, democracy, is probably the weakest part of this paragraph, and a place that would hurt the overall quality of the summary, I think, a little bit. So just really briefly, Del Banco later states that college is valuable for democratic reasons as well. He justifies this argument by asserting that educated citizens are necessary to establish and maintain a well-functioning democratic government. The author indicates that and gives us this quote. The three sentences don't flow together that well, and there's a little bit of a lack of clarity in exactly what they mean about how education ends up forming the democratic government. In the second sentence, they tell us that it's necessary. And then in the quote, they say that it's a defense against, it helps people tell the difference between demagoguery and responsible arguments. So it's all there, right? It's not terrible. It just isn't maybe quite as clear as it could be. And I saw several of you suggested that this quote should maybe be the sentence before. So that way the author would have a chance to explain in their own voice a little bit more what the quote is saying and exactly why it's important and what it matters. And I think I agree that that would be helpful. So again, it is overall a good paragraph, but maybe sort of in the high B range due to a few of these clarity issues. And then let's just real quickly here, as I hit 10 minutes and want to stop before you have clicked this off, maybe. Stakes. They want to kind of talk a little bit about not just what the author has said, but why, not why we as summarizers think it's important, because that would be too much our opinion. What we're really doing here is just interpreting the original essay for our readers. So it's more about what does the author suggest outright or imply is important about their argument and why it matters. For this essay from Delbanco, the author tells us this is about making a case for why attending college is important. They communicate the advantages of liberal education and the globalization of college-level education. It's a really good attempt, and a few of you pointed this out as well in your exercise. Here's the problem. I haven't heard actually a lot about why exactly it's a liberal arts education that does these things. And the second thing is, I don't think in this summary I've heard anything about globalization. So as a reader now, I'm surprised. I'm getting new information at the end in a way that might be kind of a problem. So if the liberal arts, I think, is just implied, but maybe could just be more clear. But this idea of globalization hasn't been covered in the paragraph. So as a reader, I'm not really prepared for understanding why that's the stakes or why that's important. And so this is another small, but maybe even more significant than the other one I pointed out, weakness with this paragraph. Some of the overall strengths, if you read this on your own, as you did in activity 1, this was the paragraph that we used for the summary practice, or for the paragraph form practice, I mean to say. It's got really good professional tone and style, and it's relatively concise. And so it's a good example overall of the writing. Lastly, here's a works cited. Just start on its own page. Yours will look a little different because this came from a textbook, and yours is an online article. So you'll need to look up the exact format on the Purdue Online Writing Lab, but you should be able to find it relatively easily. But what they do have correctly is works cited centered, and then left justified beginning, but all the next lines would be indented. And that's, if you're looking at that, that's the correct form. And then you'll have to find the details for exactly what MLA format would be for our online article that you're using for this assignment. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I hope that some of this overview, which I hope didn't go too long, but was helpful to give you some context and some thoughts as you go about doing this assignment. Remember, it's just our first assignment. You'll get a chance to revise this for the writing portfolio. So this is just a chance to find out where you're at, get some feedback from your peers on Wednesday, and some feedback from me by the end of the week, and we'll move on from here. It's just a first practice. It is 15% of your final grade, but really that's a small amount. So it's meant to be a opening practice. All right, good luck with the writing, and I'll see you, I'll see the writing, and I'll be working with you on Wednesday, and hopefully I'll see you by Friday in our writing groups. Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.